Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm gonna be reacting to a video called American Culture Shocks in Germany, Feli from Germany. This is from a channel called Feli from Germany. So there's again, American culture I think is very different from German culture. So of course there's gonna be a huge culture shock. So I guess we'll see. So let's check it out and comment, like, and subscribe.
They're out, they're all walking, they're on the bikes.
Every car I noticed was like a tiny hatchback. First of all, how good the food was. Very few disposable, anything.
So many environments have little places for children to play. Much more of a welcoming environment.
Oh, really?
We've gone out a lot. We've done restaurants. We've been going to breweries and whatnot.
Do as the locals do.
Way cleaner, smelled better.
I found that to be not entirely the case.
The layers upon layers, it will get hot. They're all of a sudden down to like a t-shirt.
Stay out of the bike lanes.
Right, absolutely. That's the number one rule.
You're getting run over.
We're currently on our way from Heidelberg, Germany to Berlin. And when I say we, I mean 22 Americans who are traveling with Ben and me on our 2024 Germany group trip. For some of them, it's their very first time here in Germany, or even in Europe in general. And we've now been on the road for a little over a week. So I want to know which culture shocks or cultural differences they've noticed here in Germany over the last 9 days. So let's ask.
What I thought was huge is just how active the Germans are. They're out, they're all walking, they're on the bikes all the time. Their crosswalks are enormous compared to ours because so many people are out and about.
Yeah.
And it just...
It's like one of the few things I would assume they're bigger in Germany, just because I think in the United States everything's kind of bigger. But yes, but roads, as in for cars, sidewalks, of course, are going to be bigger in Germany and in Europe because people actually walk.
It was great.
Awesome. Was it your first time in Germany?
Yes.
First time. Okay,
Yes.
cool.
It won't be the last.
Well, I think the thing that really stands out to me was, and we've gone out a lot. We've done restaurants. We've been going to breweries and whatnot. I mean, when in Germany, why
Yeah.
not?
Of course.
Do as the locals do.
Is the ability to have conversations with people here in Germany. In the United States, if you go out, you're usually surrounded by loud music and loud TVs.
Oh,
but
you're
in
able to have a
Germany, it's all about
conversation.
conversation and being able to communicate with people, whether it's a smaller group, whether it's a larger group. So that really stood out to me in the best possible way because we've been in a nice group here and we've been able to bounce around from person to person, have good conversations. So yeah, I think Germany definitely lends itself to experiencing social life in a way where you can really connect with people because you can have conversations with them.
A couple of things.
It's interesting, although I agree with him. I think there's more and more establishments that are they're doing like the loud music thing. So it's like I can't listen to the people that I'm going out to eat or having drinks with. However, there are still places in which I think in the US that still have it. Like they have like very chill and music and it's not super loud, so you're able to have conversations. But it's just increasingly been, I think, in the last few years where everything's just really loud.
Actually stood out to me. First is how many people ride bikes just as a regular mode of transport. Everyone does it, and it's really cool to see the fact that there are actual bike paths in the city that are intentional, that regular people who walk cannot walk in. It's in, for that purpose is really cool. Makes it a lot easier. And the second thing is, you hear about German customer service not being as good as American customer service. I found that to be not entirely the case. Like everyone I talked to was supremely patient when I was asking for, the check or anything else, trying to struggle.
Maybe it's because he's a tourist and people are like, we have to be welcoming. No, because I don't think Germans are famous for, it's a tourist, we have to cater to them. Who knows?
Through German, they were all really nice and patient with me, and they were accommodating if I had a request. I have to say it was really nice.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear that. And the thing about people not being able to walk in the bike lanes, did you have the experience that like you got yelled at or?
I had to move out of the way a couple times pretty quickly. I didn't get hit, thank goodness, but I did had to take evasive action.
Yeah, that happens. One thing that
Get out of the
always
way.
travels with me, no matter where I go, is PIA, private internet access. I turn it on whenever I log into the hotel Wi-Fi or when I want to access a website that's geo-blocked here in Germany. Like a lot of American government websites, for example, don't work when I'm here. But with PIA, I can select servers in over 90 different countries, which means that I can access the internet as if I'm in that country. This also means that Ben and I can keep watching shows like Forged in Fire. He got me hooked on that one, even though it's not usually available on Netflix when we're in Germany. But if I set my PIA location to the US, I like to pick the streaming optimized server. We can watch it anyway. That way you can access thousands of TV shows and movies that aren't available on streaming platforms in your country, but that are available in other parts of the world. When you set your location to the UK, for example, you can watch classic comedy shows like Friends, The Office, or Mr. Bean ad-free on Netflix. And PIA also encrypts your internet connection and hides your IP address, which is why I like to turn it on whenever I log into a public Wi-Fi network. If you want to try PIA too, just go to piavpn.com/FeelFromGermany or click the link down below and you'll get 4 entire months completely for free. And after that, you'll get 83% off, which means it'll only be $2.03 a month. So a pretty good deal if you ask me. Check it out down below and thank you so much to PIA for sponsoring this video. Nancy, what's something that stood out to you?
So there are many things, but 2 of them mostly was I did a lot of observing of children while I was here and really appreciated the way so many environments like restaurants and stuff have little places for children to play and to color, and it's kind of like much more of a welcoming environment. Even in the United States, we can bring our children
You don't have to go to a Chuck E. Cheese's.
to those environments, but there isn't like this welcoming, like we want children to be here.
Yeah.
I work at a
I've never
college
noticed
and
that.
I teach early childhood classes, and I talk a lot about how we are, I say risk averse. Like we are so worried about our kids getting scrapes on their knees and on their elbows. And the attitude in Germany and many other European countries
It's like,
is
let them be.
that if you give children the risks, they will learn how to take those risks and be safe.
Yeah, that's
So
a
it's just a
different
very
mentality.
different way of either overprotecting them so they don't get hurt or allowing them to learn how to keep themselves
Yeah,
safe.
I've also
and I
noticed
like that
this.
side better.
Yeah, I agree. And you filmed the playgrounds here in Germany,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. Well, Mark did. My husband did, but yes.
How are
Yeah.
those different from American playgrounds?
Well, for one, there's a lot of wood on the playgrounds. And of course, in America,
Oh,
we're
that's
worried about
plastic.
kids getting splinters. So we take the wood off the playground.
Yeah.
But they're, the structures are taller and
Wow.
higher. There are like rope type things that kids can walk in that they could slip their feet through and maybe get hurt. But,
Those wooden
but I think
parks, I've
they're
never
all
seen
the
them.
appropriate challenges that, quite honestly, when I was young, I had by climbing in trees and doing all of those things out in the real world. The other one that I really noticed is that when it comes to disabilities, I noticed how difficult it is to get around.
Oh,
Absolutely.
really?
Yeah, like even for myself, finding bathrooms that if I was in a wheelchair, it would be really difficult.
That's right.
Really
That has a lot to do
difficult.
with how historical Europe is, of course, and
Right.
how buildings are built more up high with stairs and everything.
Right.
Absolutely.
Actually, when I'm in
it's
the
true. But strangely, I would have thought that maybe Germany was a little bit far ahead in this, just because they feel more advanced to me.
United States, when I went to Washington, D.C., noticed how difficult it is. I mean, they've made a lot of accommodations there, but it takes
harder.
a lot
Yeah.
when the buildings are older.
There's a lot of catching up to do
It's
for
true.
sure.
Yeah.
It must be because again the buildings
quality
are
of
older. It's
the
true.
workmanship and the facilities and the construction materials really makes a great impression on me. Particularly the windows, the doors, the plumbing fixtures.
Why?
They're all outstanding. They're really, really well built. And
Why? Because they're just like a better quality, like the material, or the design.
and they operate perfectly. I think in the United States we try to
Interesting.
cut some corners on some of those materials,
Mm.
but not in Germany. It's just outstanding, and I really appreciate the craftsmanship.
I wonder if it's because in the U.S. people manufacturers tend to use more plastic, and in Europe and in Germany probably they tend to use like steel and better better quality materials. Is that it?
Always
long-lasting materials.
The doors for sure, but I never really paid attention to the fixtures, like the
Yes.
difference in
Yeah.
quality there.
Yeah, we've seen similar ones in the Netherlands areas and so forth, but it's just very impressive to see the craftsmanship and the workmanship and the attention to detail in the different building materials.
Yeah.
And likewise, all of the buildings and so forth. Just very, very solid, very good.
First of all, how good the food was. In America, maybe Germany has a poor reputation for...
No. I knew he was going to say this, but no, they don't. I think it just depends. I obviously it depends on, I don't know, what kind of people you know, or their reputation or whatever, but it's not bad. I disagree wholeheartedly with him because no, it's actually better. It's good. I mean, who doesn't like again, it's good. Sausages, all the sauces, no.
Food, but it was actually delicious everywhere.
Who are you talking to?
Very tasty. The traditional German food was excellent.
It's good.
And then also just non-traditional food like Italian and some of the ramen we had was really good.
Yeah.
So everything that we ate was fantastic. One thing that did surprise me was in America, we also hear how much deference is paid to World War II and things that took place and how much education is provided to the German citizens about everything that took place. So it surprised me when we were at the Nuremberg Trials Museum and a group of German teenagers came in and really were kind of loud and kind of noisy in sort of a sacred space. But I think that's also just kids can be kids, teens can be teens. That's sort of universal throughout the world. So, and I think after the guard reminded them to be quiet, they were very respectful after that.
That's interesting. I remember the first time that we went to a concentration camp in 9th grade. Everyone's 15, 14 years old, right? And I think it's also almost like a coping mechanism a little bit because everyone knows it's like really, really heavy. But also you're on a school trip. Everyone's excited that they don't have to be in the classroom that day. So it's kind of like a balance act between the two. But I remember we were there in 9th grade and we were kind of loud too, but that doesn't mean that it didn't affect us.
Right.
I think everyone kind of tried to play it cool a little bit too.
And because again, teens are very awkward. They tend to be very awkward about these things because it's an awkward situation and teens don't really know how to behave. And then, like she said, they don't really know how to cope with like this very heavy and powerful thing that happened. And they don't really have, as an adult, I think people handle this kind of things better. But it's kind of crazy that she mentioned they went to a concentration camp, I think in 9th grade. Obviously you can do that because again, they're in the country. That those are the school trips, which I think sounds crazy to me.
Sure.
I noticed how prepared Germans seem to be. Like the weather obviously changes here so much, but the layers upon layers, it will get hot.
Are they in Berlin?
They're all of a sudden down to like a t-shirt. It starts pouring. They have their raincoat ready. So it's just like everything is just a little bit more prepared than I think we think about in the States.
I absolutely agree about that because whenever I go out with Ben, I'll be like, yeah, don't you want to bring something to wear later? It's going to get cold. We're going to take the bike. And he's like, no, I'll be fine. I can wear the same outfit all day long and I'll bring like a sweater and a raincoat and an umbrella and sunglasses.
Well, it just depends on personality.
You don't know what the weather is going to do.
Correct.
We actually have a word for that too. In German, we call it Zwiebellook, onion look.
Onion look.
Because you dress up like an onion with
layers.
Lots of layers.
There you go.
But to add to that, when we were in Heidelberg last night, it started to rain after our dinner. So I threw my poncho on, and as we walked back to the hotel, Shayna was behind me and she was noticing quite a few people laughing at me, chuckling a few points.
Like, recognize the tourist is the one with the poncho that can't handle a little rain.
So maybe the ponchos are looked as a little,
maybe not such a
No, because they probably have jackets. They have parkas.
stylish
right,
thing
not
to
so
wear.
stylish. And it definitely was not stylish.
Yeah.
A lot of Germans have very expensive functional wear. The
Correct.
good raincoats.
Yes.
So you're saying they don't wear a garbage bag when they're walking?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Couple things I noticed at first, honestly. Being tourists as we are, we went to a lot of tourist destinations.
Correct.
But
as one does.
I was actually surprised to see that a lot of the prices for souvenirs or just things that you need in day-to-day life, umbrellas, as we need it many times on this trip.
Typical German weather.
But the prices were actually very reasonable. Even where, normally as an American, those tourist destinations, I would expect them to be highly elevated,
more expensive.
inflated pricings. But I was very surprised to see that everything was very affordably priced. And then when we went to the grocery store this morning, again, I was expecting to pay $20, $25, and what I bought was about $9.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
I thought that was really cool.
I agree. What you thought?
Well, actually, on that topic, Ben, behind the camera, gets a snow globe everywhere he goes. And I think the most expensive snow globe was when we went to Asheville
$3?
in the US at Biltmore. And your snow globe was what, like $50? $50. How much do you pay here in Germany? $9 or €9 in this case. Yeah. Crazy, right?
Okay,
And
I
this
have no
is
idea how
this
much
may be
snow
like a
globe
European thing.
costs.
I'm not sure or not. We were in Nuremberg. We were walking down the street one day, and I was looking at all the different cars. They have a lot of different models here that we don't have in the United States. But every car I noticed was like a tiny hatchback,
Yeah.
which we don't have many of. I'm from the South, Alabama, and
Big
you know,
trucks.
what
Big
you're going to see
SUVs.
there are large pickup trucks, SUVs, large Suburbans, large cars.
Everything's big.
But everything I saw, I was like hatchback. And I thought that was very
Really exciting.
interesting.
Very true. I think that is a European thing.
Yeah,
Yes.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, and again, a lot of models I'm not used to.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I really noticed, honestly, was it was a little difficult to find drip coffee. Or filtered coffee.
Yeah.
Filtered coffee. I would go in and be like, hey, do you just have black coffee?
They have
And they're
espresso
like,
only?
No, do you know a cappuccino? Or
Oh.
I was like, it's been great. Wonderful experience.
Okay, I wonder what's up with the drip coffee. How come they don't sell drip
A
coffee?
lot.
Yeah.
And then just like Joshua said, stay out of the bike lanes.
Right. Absolutely. That's the number one rule.
What stood out to me the most was the quality of the food. It was fresh food wherever you went. It didn't matter if you were in a restaurant or if you were at the local store that would be equivalent to CVS. There was fresh food in it.
I'm gonna be so for real and without offending anyone, but it's just, yes, in the US, a lot of the food just tastes like plastic. I'm gonna put it out there.
Everything was available, cheeses, meats, and fruits and vegetables, and the quality was fantastic.
And quality beer too.
Yeah.
I just thought that the taste and how pure and clean it was, the beer was really good.
Do you have a favorite beer?
Of all the beers, so we went to Rothenburg and knew some friends of friends there, and so they had Turmhaus, which I guess was just a little tiny thing in Rothenburg that was my favorite.
And the transportation, being able to get around by train and being able to travel and go here and there, and the amount of people that were biking and just the conversation in the streets. You'd see people conversing casually and just having a great time. So yeah, it was a great experience.
I don't
Great
think
vibes,
Cincinnati has a
basically.
lot of that transportation just because of the amount of hills.
Oh, yeah.
Makes it really hard for people to bike and get around and that kind of stuff. But how many times we had to stop loading the bus today?
Yeah.
Because all of the
You need
people
an e-bike
riding
then.
the bikes going by.
Absolutely.
The fact that they don't have very few disposable anything, like no disposable forks and disposable plates.
That
and all
has
of
to do
that.
with sustainability, and I think, of course, they're going to be better ahead than in the US. But I think everything's disposable.
Kind of stuff. And I mean, at one time growing up, they had all bottles had deposits on them, and they've gone back to that. Like Michigan still does that, But since it's just easier for people to just throw stuff away, so the use and not throwing everything away was really
Striking.
that was a big difference.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
There certainly wasn't much culture shock because I was born here and I grew up here. So,
Right. I feel like the hat gives it away too.
so I got to see the small town where I grew up before we met, and then by
that's
coincidence, we drove through the town where I was born on the way to Heidelberg. But the two things that struck me the most, one of them pretty trivial. In Bavaria and somewhat in Baden-Württemberg, I noticed that the crops were corn. There were a lot of corn crops.
Yeah.
Okay.
That wasn't a thing when I was growing up.
Oh, really?
And the second thing, even though I knew it abstractly before I came here, but seeing how active outdoors Germans in particular, but Europeans in general are.
It's part of their life.
That really struck me is when the weather was nice, and especially on a weekend, everybody was out on a bicycle, they're hiking, they're riding their bikes.
Okay, Scott, I know that you were on my last Germany trip too, so it's not your first time in this country, but what's something that stood out to you, whether it was last time or this time here in Germany?
I like the trams and the trains in the cities. You can get around very easily, very inexpensively. And I like the old architecture in the old cities. We just don't have anything like that in the U.S.
Once I recovered from the jet lag, just walking down the street, how there's just a lot more people out walking. I noticed there was a lot more like fruit stands and that sort of thing out and about.
Of course, it's summertime
Way
right now.
cleaner.
Too.
He's from Washington. Unless I think if you were, it's Washington State. But I think sometimes it depends on the city. I think there are big cities, but you have like the farmers market and you have all the kiosk stands that they sell like produce. But I think that's only like in New York, and it's just like when it's market day.
Better. Yeah, I think that was probably the first things initially that I noticed.
In Germany, I would believe a lot of cities have this sort of, every single day or several times a week.
Even though
and it's everywhere.
I'm a rule follower, and I kind of like how people here follow rules. Sometimes they do so to a ridiculous degree. Like standing at a red light until it turns green, which could be a while. Even if no cars are coming for a long, long ways.
Yeah, but you're getting fined.
They get angry at you if you break the rules, and they really want you to know that they're angry about it.
Did you have that experience?
Yes, someone honked at me when I accidentally crossed when the light for bicycles had turned red.
Wow.
Just like a second before, and he was like, no, you will follow the rules.
Oh my God.
But the first time I was here, I think the biggest surprise to me is that people can carry beers around everywhere.
Yeah.
And,
that's weird, yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Everyone has a beer in their hand, and they're getting on the train, and they're hanging out, and
they're not getting
the evenings
arrested.
seem more like a social time than just get home.
So. True. I feel like we also saw that a lot on this trip because it's July. Summer break is about to start for Bayern and Baden-Württemberg, and a lot of the days were very nice weather. I mean, we had a little bit of rain too, but we saw a lot of nice evenings in Nuremberg or in Munich also, where people were just hanging out at the public squares with a beer or, at the side of the river and just enjoying themselves.
Yes. So being outside seems to be more of a priority.
Yeah. I know this wasn't your first time in Germany. You've been all around.
Yes. No, this is our third time in Germany. So I was thinking about what is a new culture shock to me here. And one small one was burnt das Brot.
Yeah.
What on earth
we
is
talked
that?
about him quite a lot.
It looks like a weird, demented, I'm going to rewind it. Let's see what it is.
Burnt das Brot.
Yeah.
Okay, it reminds me of like a Pop-Tart, but like a weird burnt Pop-Tart that went through the river.
We talked about him quite a lot on this trip.
Yeah. The other one to
It's a
me
toast.
was, we talked about a little bit at like children's playgrounds.
Oh, okay, so no, we're just going to move on. No explanation whatsoever. Okay, cool.
That measured risk, that kind of slight danger that's built into them and everything, and that I found that kind of fascinating.
And do you remember what your first culture shocks were when you came to Germany or to Europe for the first time?
This is really stereotypical, but I would say it was the service.
What?
Okay, yeah.
Bad?
I can see that. Yeah.
Even how you have to twist their arm to even bring you the bill.
Yeah. You're like, please let me pay. Please come back.
We have much to do still.
Yeah. Also,
Let me
Devin has
go.
a really cool Instagram page. He makes custom bikes. So you can check him out on Instagram at Alchemist Custom Bicycles. I'm going to put it right here. Have you ever been to Germany? If so, what was the thing that stood out to you the most? Let me know in the comments below. And the same question also goes out to people that have visited the US before. What was a cultural difference that you noticed when you were there? I hope you guys enjoyed hanging out with us here on our bus on the way to Berlin. We're almost there now, I think 2 more hours, and we're all very excited for our last stop of the tour. Thank you to everyone in the group that was willing to share their experiences with me. There were also a few people who didn't want to be on camera, but that's totally fine. They're still very much loved. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I hope I'll see you next time. Cheers!
Yeah, this was a it was a very funny video. I think it's the one where the guy was like, hey, there's two guys. I think there's a bit of a controversial opinion because one of the guys was like, oh, actually customer service is not as bad as I've heard, which good for him. Probably he got like one of the good ones. But then the other guy was like, no, that sort of service, it's a thing that if you're used to like this I don't think it's I said bad, but I don't think it's bad like in the reality. It's not that it's outright bad. It's just different. Of course, if you're used to this other kind of service, as in the US, where everything like all the waiters, everyone's constantly sort of on your table, and they're constantly asking you, hey, like, did you enjoy this? Do you want something, do you want extra? Do you want something more? How's your meal? Are you enjoying this? It's a service that's constantly like on top of things and on top of you, which some people may like, some people do not like this because I'm trying to eat and have a conversation, and if you're constantly sort of coming to me, you're constantly interrupting, and I know, but it's a difference in culture. It's not necessarily they're meaning they're meaning the wrong thing or whatever. No, of course not. And in Germany and in Europe, it's the opposite. People will just let you be, and you are, again, if you're not used to this, you're kind of thinking, oh my God, I'm feeling abandoned. I'm feeling stranded here. If you feel even asking for the bill, it's like, oh my God, I'm being kidnapped here. for how much longer do I have to stay here? I have places to go. Please, like, let me pay. So again, it's just a difference in culture, and it's not necessarily one's good or better than the other. It's just a matter of preference. I think it also matters a lot, like what are your plans? Because I think, but this is also, I think, a cultural thing. Because in the U.S., I think most people, let's say, well, again, there are sometimes this is not the case, but I think sometimes, a lot of the times, you feel, you have a very short amount of window to eat. So you're like, oh, I have to like eat quickly, and then I have to like leave because I have other things to do. So it's like, please, service has to be fast, has to be really on top of things. And then, can I ask you? No, I don't want anything. Please to bill. That's it. But in Europe, I think people tend to be a little bit more chill, and they tend to be more, hey, if I go out to eat, then this is like a leisurely meal, a leisurely pace. I want to enjoy my conversation with the people that I'm having a meal with. I want to enjoy my food. It's just very, oh yeah, sure, bring this, bring the other thing. And that's why I think you have a glass of wine. And then again, not always, because again, I'm not saying all Europeans are not busy, but I think usually that's how it goes. You ask for, you have a glass of wine, you share a bottle of wine. You ask for an appetizer, then, do you order something for the table? Then, you maybe have dessert, you have coffee, then you have like an aperitif. Like there's just so many things. It's just like a nice meal, with especially I think if you're out to eat, like during the summer, it's nice, or you're going out with, friends, family. So it's just like a matter of enjoying yourself. And it's not as if, I have to eat really quickly because I have places to go. So that, I think, it's a cultural shock in and out of itself. Although, of course, it depends. I'm not, sometimes this isn't the kind of meal of like, oh, I'm enjoying myself and bring an appetizer and bring this. Now, sometimes you're just like, no, I really need to eat very quickly because I have to be somewhere. So, but again, maybe it's go to like a fast food restaurant or something, a fast food chain. But, whatever. I understand it's not one that is better than the other. It's just, differences, because it's just a difference. It doesn't really mean that one's better than the other. The other, I think that was very interesting. It was like the craftsmanship thing that one of the people was mentioning. Because you can also tell by the other, I think it can relate to the other woman that was saying, oh, like how children parks like work. Because I've never noticed this, but it's true. Again, in the US, it's plastic. Obviously, everything's made out of plastic. And all the things, all like the fixtures and obviously the construction, everything's like made out of like a plywood. Like everything's it doesn't look sturdy. Everything looks easily to like, you can just, hit it very hard and you like break a hole in the wall. Of course, like in Europe, because they use different construction methods and I think different manufacturing methods, not just for like the houses and buildings, also for things like he mentioned. I think things are made to last, which I hadn't thought of this, but I think that's really, yes, it's a big difference, because like he said, even like the doors and all of that, everything's probably made out of metal, steel, like it's a very sturdy door, everything's made to last, everything looks like better quality, like better construction materials, like probably the design is a little bit better. And it's like, oh yeah, I hadn't thought of this, but I think and again, that also relates to one of the other people was mentioning how disposable things are in the US, which, yes, because everything's made to like not last a really long time. So again, all the construction, everything, which things that you may see, but you can reuse this. It's not necessarily that in the US, that's not the case. It's not, you just like throw it out and you get a new one. And there's not like that mentality of like, let's reuse this, let's repurpose this, or maybe this should last you, a lifetime. Which I think in Germany, things are the opposite. It's more about like, I don't know, that's not really, it's like sustainability. Like, how can we use this, in a better way? How can this last us, a lifetime? Maybe not a lifetime, but this could probably last us, 30 years, 40 years. Like, things are built to last because that's how they should. And instead of having so many disposable things as well, they're also thinking, the mentality is, how can we reuse this? How can we repurpose this? Or can this be recycled? Can this be reused? And I think that's just, again, that's a very different mentality that I assume, yes, of course, that's a huge culture shock. But it just goes to show how the little things, I said, oh yeah, like, you know, the I don't know, the door, like the door is just like the most random thing ever. Like that can show you like how different a culture is from another. And it's, yes, because if you really boil down to it and you really start, you know, you get to the bottom of this, that's the reason. Yes, you know, some cultures want things to last because they're into like more, and also sustainability, and just their mentality is just a little bit different. As saying, again, things are meant to last. And in the other, you have like everything's disposable and it doesn't really matter. That's not that sturdy, or that is just made out of plastic. Who cares? You know, bad quality or like a cheaper quality, because you can just get a new one. That's it. So yes, it's just, oh yeah, that's a huge like cultural thing that again you can get in. You know, you can actually realize this through something as silly and as unconsequential as a door or like a doorknob, which I find very, very interesting. But that was it for today, and I'll see you next time. Bye.